Hello again, everybody, and welcome to a new installment of You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling, our weekly look at the Miami Hurricanes from the betting perspective. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by Lee Sterling himself of ParamountSports.com, your go-to place for all of your best prognosticating in the world of football and sports. Occasionally a bad day or two here or there, but for the most part, Lee Sterling has as good of a track record as anybody in the industry and can help you make money. And Lee, we got a little bit of a different line to talk about this week. We've been seeing these 21.3 touchdown lines week after week after week for the Hurricanes. The Vegas wise guys have made this one Miami minus 11 going to Georgia Tech, a noon game in Atlanta. That's showing a little bit of respect to the Yellow Jackets that maybe they didn't show to Duke, where they ended up being right. Miami won that one going away. Hasn't been easy every week for the Canes. What happens this week in Atlanta, Lee?
Well, I would say, overall, I'm going to talk about the positives, and the positive was the fourth quarter was incredible. Defense played like we thought they could. The offense was, on a roll, and they're just so talented, and they're going to keep scoring, I think, on everyone. I really think that Cam Ward could have a bad day, and they could still score 30 on almost every single defense in college football. There's no dominant defense this year. I mean, George is up there, who knows, maybe a Texas or an Oregon, I don't know. But I think we can score 30 on anyone. Two things that I did see that little cause for alarm going forward, I think our interior, center and two guards, pass blocking wasn't great. And against a good team, we're going to have to shore that up. I'm not sure why. I mean, give Duke a little bit of credit. They do have 26 sacks on the season, but you can't allow your quarterback to be pressured like that. And then the defensive line for the first three quarters, I don't know why they didn't get much pressure on the quarterback. So need to improve that. Like Bain was really good against the run, but not the pass rusher we had seen, last year. So hopefully we shore up those weaknesses and just keep rolling. The only real question in this game is, will Haynes King play for Georgia Tech, their quarterback who came over from Texas A&M? If he plays, he will present some problems, and I do think he's going to play. If he didn't play, I mean, you want Miami. Their backup, the kid is, they've averaged, I think, something like 7.5 points a game. So Haynes King plays. I think it's going to be a little tighter than I would expect, but I think Miami will win this probably 38-28. Another 1 point win or loss either way. So not a game I'll be involved in, but I think Miami wins. But I would probably take the 11 points just because Georgia Tech's at home and Haynes King, such a really good dual threat quarterback. And he does turn the ball over. He has a history of doing that most games, but 11 points a little high on the road, and Haynes King is that good a quarterback. 38-28 Miami.
The dilemma of the sports prognosticator when it comes to the Canes this year, because these aren't like easy lines to manage. No. And you're seeing that a lot of these games are right around the line, point or so here or there in a lot of cases. Right. So I saw things very similar to the way you did. I have noticed that Ruben Bain is not as dominant this year as he was last year. When I bring it up, I ruffle feathers. People seem to get a little offended by that thought, but he just isn't, and he's still a very good player. I mean, he still has plays where he blows things up, and he's very strong and stout. But I think now that he seems to have gained a little weight and muscle, that he's maybe playing out of position at defensive end, and ultimately will move inside and could be a very good defensive tackle when he does so. And so I'm kind of hoping they make that move going into next year when they're going to need help inside. And I'd like to see them get a little bit more oomph on the outside pass rush, get themselves or develop an edge rusher or two that can get after the quarterback. Like a Haynes King this week, for example, that's a very significant element to this game. All right. So Miami is number 4 in the college football playoff rankings. If they can win the ACC, they would be probably the 3rd seed in the playoff. You've had another week now to look at these other top teams. Lee, how are the Canes stacking up?
Probably like 5th, 6th best. I mean, that's I think before the year, if we said, we're going to be, 5th or 6th best, we'd take it and we'd be very excited. But I still think some of these teams like Georgia, and all these teams have had bad games. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Georgia for 3 quarters did not look good against Florida with a 3rd-string quarterback, a walk-on quarterback, I think he is. So things like Texas, another team. Maybe Oregon's probably the best team right now. I mean, they've been pretty dominant. They did get to play Ohio State at home, but I think the teams I would not want to play in the playoff would be Oregon, Ohio State with their wide receivers would present a real dilemma with our defensive backs. Texas, Georgia, those are the 4 that scare me. Yeah. But, you got a chance with Cam Ward against anyone.
Just got to get that defense playing just a little bit better. It'll be interesting to see after the bye week when Damari Brown comes back into the secondary. Hopefully that he can maybe make a little bit of an impact. Jadis Richard, he's done for the year, pretty sure on that. So it's, it'll be interesting to see here down the stretch. And this game, if it is in fact a 10-point or so game up there in Atlanta this weekend, it's going to be a good one as well. So hopefully the Canes contingent up there in Atlanta turns out, which they always do. I don't think you have to worry about that. It'll be a nice atmosphere at Georgia Tech, a great venue. Always have enjoyed going to Atlanta and Georgia Tech. So looking forward to this one. Lee says, be careful. The Lions -11. He sees this as a potential 10-point Miami win. Could get caught on the wrong side. You got to be a little careful. If he had to make a bet today, it would be Georgia Tech.
Oh, and something also, Gary. This might be a really good game to, in-game betting. I do a lot of in-game betting. For instance, the other night, the Heat game. The Heat is notorious, as we know, for horrible 3rd quarters. Yep. So they're up by 13 over Sacramento. I'm like, 8.5. I'm at the game, 8.5 points. Are you kidding me? I'll take the 8.5 in Sacramento. Sacramento ended up winning the game by 1, but I didn't have to sweat it. So, sometimes the best bets you make are bets you don't make, or you wait until you see something in game. Obviously, a lot of times it's -115 instead of -110. But, see how Haynes Ward looks. If, let's say, starts the game and he's limping, then Miami might be the side. If he looks great and he's sharp and he's running, he's scrambling, and, but also Haynes King has been injured so many times in his career, may not be a game you want to play also. So sometimes, like I said, the best games are games you don't bet.
Well, and in a game like this, if Georgia Tech were to hit a field goal or a touchdown early and take the lead, that 11-point line might come down to 9 or 10. And you can, buy yourself a point or so there. So yeah, in-game betting is, I know, something I love a lot too, Lee, and it can get profitable if you hit it the right way. Mm-hmm. All right, there's a couple other games. Actually, no, I want to ask you about one other thing: the Heisman Trophy odds. They're putting odds on the Heisman now. You got Cam Ward plus 200, along with Travis Hunter plus 200. Dylan Gabriel, I believe, is plus 300. For those that like to do some prop betting out there, what should they do with this Heisman race?
I think Cam Ward's going to win. I would try to get more than plus 200. Week or two ago, you could get 350, 400. At 200, if there's 4 or 5 people in the game, plus 200 isn't great. But I think we have an easy enough schedule. Not saying it's easy, but easy enough where we should be able to win all 3 games. I think if we win out, I think there's a very good likelihood he wins it. People don't see players on the West Coast, and that includes Oregon's quarterback Gabriel and Genty, the wide receiver for Boise State, and even,
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. So I don't think Colorado's going to go undefeated. I mean, even though their schedule doesn't look real tough, they're Colorado. They're gonna trip up, and so I think Cam's going to win it.
Do you play bets like that or give them to your clients? Prop bets like that?
Yeah, we do. We do overs and unders. We do things like that. But we're looking for the right odds. Like I said, it's not going to be plus 200. It's going to be plus 250, plus 300. So check around. Let's say he throws an interception in the first quarter. You might see it go up to plus 250, 300, and then
they do in-game betting on those too, huh?
Yeah, it'll come back. So, those are fluid. Those odds also. So
interesting. All right, a couple other games in college football I thought I'd ask you about. I'll start in the ACC, where Clemson, a little bit of a tricky team now. We don't really know. They're -6.5 on the road at Virginia Tech. Lee, my first thought when I saw this was that line sounds a little high to me. Virginia Tech's a pretty good football team. Clemson, they have a good offense, but we don't know how great they really are. What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, if the line was under 3, I'd probably look to Clemson, but I think Virginia Tech's the play here. For some reason, they just did not play their best game against Syracuse after playing 4 really good games. They should be energized coming home. This is it for both these two teams. Whoever loses this game is pretty much probably totally out of playing the ACC championship game, especially Virginia Tech and even Clemson. So a big game, better bowl also on the line. So I like Virginia Tech at home. I like their quarterback. I like their running backs, some good enough receivers. I don't see much of a difference between these two teams. Clemson, if you took that paw off the side of their helmet, this game is probably 2.5. So, there's just teams like that, the Notre Dames, they always seem to give Notre Dame a little bit more respect than they deserve.
They're reflecting back 6-7 years ago.
Right. But that's the way. Hey, look at Vanderbilt. They're still not. They're just now starting to respect them a little bit. Took them until week 9 or 10.
All right. So the other game I wanted to ask you about, Georgia is going to Ole Miss. Very interesting game. Probably the most interesting game of the week. Georgia is a 2.5-point favorite on the road. This is Lane Kiffin's moment. Can he spring an upset over the Bulldogs?
Well, Lane Kiffin has not done real well in big games. In fact, Ole Miss is like they're like the Penn State of the SEC. That's kind of the way I equate them. When the moment is biggest, they fail. I mean, look at that Penn State game. Got to like the 3-yard line, 3 rushes right up the middle, and then one of the worst pass play calls I've ever seen. That new offensive coordinator had been so good that year up until that last drive, just horrendous. And I think, Ole Miss has a lot of talent. I mean, last week they just blazed Arkansas, and they did it without Trey Harris. Their star receiver might be back. So if he comes back, they also were bolstered last week. They had Jaden Williams and Walter Nolan, their 2-star defensive linemen, come back. They look dominant, but then you watch them other times and they got guys jogging around. And I think you get that sometimes when you sign so many guys through NIL. They're mercenaries when you're going to Ole Miss. It's not like you're going there for the nightlife. So most of Ole Miss achievements on the defensive side have been against teams that are not good offensively. Kentucky, who else was South Carolina and Oklahoma. But top 3 running backs for Georgia, Etienne and the 2 other, I think it's like the 2 running backs are their other 2 guys are their game time decision. List is questionable. So not a game I'm really involved in, but the question is, can Carson Beck return to form? If they get 1 or 2 of those top 3 guys, and Ole Miss 111 straight up against Georgia, 4-8 against the spread the last 12 times they've matched up. I just can't trust Lane Kiffin. I think Georgia wins something like 31-23. Should be a fun game.
All right, Lee. Well, we're getting down to the wire here in college football. This season has come and gone very quickly, but I'm sure it's not too late for those football bettors out there to get a deal at ParamountSports.com. What do you got this week?
Yep. November continues. Got 4 weeks for $297. Goes through the end of the month, Monday, November 30th. So you want to hop on board. Actually, no, I'm wrong. It's Monday, December 2nd. So 4 weeks goes through December 2nd, 4 weeks of football where we rate the games from 10 to 50 units, just $297. We've had 7 to 10 winning weeks. Just one place, ParamountSports.com. We also do UFC, hockey, and basketball. Canes basketball started off with a big win. So let's see if they can keep that going. College basketball has been our bread and butter sport also. So all the sports, all the different specials up and available, ParamountSports.com.
All righty, Lee. Well, good talking to you again. Thank you for your wisdom, and we will see what happens on Saturday when the Canes go up to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech. Someone's calling you, so we got to go. For Lee Sterling, I'm Gary Furman. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next time.